Guys, this is the most common myth I hear every single day. I opened up a Freezone company so I don't have to pay any taxes. Or I have a mainland company but I don't have any turnover yet so I don't need to register for corporate tax. And unfortunately that's not the case. Unfortunately, the truth is most people, they simply just don't understand how much tax, where it applies, when to pay it, and on what basis they actually need to comply. So I'm tired of hearing the same mistakes on repeat. So I've broken down all of the myths in this video to help you find out every single blind spot before it costs you some money. So let's get into it. I'm Richard Rodriguez from Connect Group, and since 2016 we've been helping people and businesses set up companies, register employees, and stay fully compliant with UAE laws. This is the biggest misconception that I hear. Listen carefully, please. All companies must register for corporate tax. It doesn't matter if you're registered in the mainland, in the free zones, offshore companies, if your clients are not even in the UAE, if you're in Ajman, Fujairah, JAFSA, DMCC, ADGM, all companies without exception have to register for corporate tax. So when do you have to register, you may ask? Well, that's a good question. It's 3 months from the date of trade license issuance. So let's give you an example. Let's say you get your trade license on June 15th. You have exactly 3 months to submit your corporate tax registration filing. So that means by September 15th, your application must be filed. And it doesn't matter if you have no turnover, it doesn't matter if you don't have a bank account yet, it doesn't matter if you haven't even processed your first transaction yet. You still have to register. If you didn't do it in time, that's a 10,000 dirham fine. And yes, they're already checking. The FTA is on top of everything now. So let's explore, where did this myth even come from? Well, it's most likely from free zones and their creative marketing. They love to put 0% corporate tax in big bold letters all over their social media adverts. But if you scroll to the fine print, you'll see that subject to qualifying conditions line. So what does that mean? Most people, they're not reading the fine print. They're believing their friends or their family rather than speaking to an expert first. And they get caught out and they could be liable to a 10,000 dirham fine. Here's the second myth I hear all the time. I'm just a freelancer, so I don't have to worry about taxes. Well, freelancers must register for corporate tax, but only once they exceed 1 million dirhams per year in revenue. So if you're a freelancer and that's what you're earning, what exactly are you up to? Myth number 3, and this one's the most misleading of them all. They say that getting 0% corporate tax rate in a free zone is easy and it's guaranteed. And yes, the 0% rate, it does exist, but it's not automatic, and you definitely will not qualify in every circumstance. There's very specific conditions for qualified company statuses. You need a mandatory audit every year, and there's no way around that audit. It requires clear planning as well, and that has to happen at the registration stage. And of course, proper document management as well. Your activities need to match the license very strictly. And it's important to understand that it's not available for all types of business. If you're in consulting or IT or different types of trading, maybe it will work, but you need to do the due diligence first. And even if you qualify, the moment you provide services to the mainland, that 0% tax rate is gone, my friend. So here's my advice, don't rush it. Just go to a competent consultant, such as ourselves, at the planning stage, and we will structure everything correctly. We'll bust these myths for you so you're properly informed and not just going off of hearsay from friends or family or social media, because fixing it later will become more expensive and more complicated than doing it the right way from day one. If you have any questions about corporate tax and how to avoid these myths, click the link below. We'll meet with you, have a 30-minute free consultation and put you in the right structure and answer any questions that you may have. So the fourth myth, and this is one of the biggest myths that I see daily, is that people think doing business in the UAE is tax-free and it's cheap. And in some cases it is, but let's break it down and see what you'll actually pay. If you don't get the 0% rate, up to 375,000 dirhams is completely tax-free. Anything you earn above that threshold, you will pay 9% corporate tax on that amount that exceeds the threshold only. And then there's VAT. This applies when your turnover exceeds 375,000 dirhams per year. You'll just have to charge 5% on your invoices and have a good accountant take care of the filings for you. There's also the annual expenses. It's not a direct tax, but it's something people overlook. They don't understand that trade licenses are mostly done on a yearly basis, and they can range in price. I mean, anything from 6,000 dirhams in free zones to I've seen 100,000 dirhams. Mainland, anything from 15 to 50. It very much depends, and it varies depending on where you're registering and how many visas and so on. So reach back out to us and we'll help you clear all of that up. Another expense that people tend to forget about is accounting services. The FTA is very sophisticated now, so you do need a good accountant. That could be anything from 12 to say 36,000 dirhams per year, depending on whether you need an audit. For instance, mainland requires an audit yearly. You have to factor in these other accounting expenses as well. So yes, Dubai is no longer tax-free, but how does it stack up in terms of other jurisdictions in the world? Well, Europe's 20 to 30% corporate tax, then you've got 15 to 25% VAT on top of that. And the US, you have state income tax, that could be up to 35% in, say, California or some more expensive states. And you've got federal on top of that. And even compared to the previous greats in terms of tax efficient environments like Singapore, Singapore's at 17% corporate tax now. The UAE, maximum 9%. And of course the 5% VAT on top of that. Myth number 5, I don't have to pay until they check. That's going to get you in some serious trouble. They think, oh, there's so many companies in the UAE, the FTA is a bit new, they won't really find out and audit everyone. And this is a very, very dangerous misconception. The reality is they will check. And in the Emirates, non-compliance with tax legislation isn't just fines, it can result in criminal liability for the director, for the shareholder, and it can result ultimately in a loss of the right to conduct business. Or, in the worst case scenario, imprisonment. So it's no joke. Everything needs to be done very clearly, everything needs to be done very methodically, and compliance to all the rules and requirements need to be followed. The Emirates does not forgive violations of the law very easily, especially the tax law. So let's give you some practical advice. What do you need to do right now? If you're not registered for corporate tax, you better go run and register for it right away. If you have a fine that's outstanding, there's a cancellation program that can help you discount that rate. But if you're filing for 0% tax, which is possible, please do your due diligence, go to the right tax advisor before you register for corporate tax. Here's a great initiative you can follow. The FTA has now launched a program. So if you have a fine for, let's say, late registration or something along those lines, but you file your report early enough, let's say within 7 months instead of the 9 months that you have, the fine can get cancelled or the money can be returned to your tax account. Please remember, here are the 3 rules of the Emirates. Rule number 1, don't rush. Rule number 2, do not chase the cheapest prices. They're cheap for a reason. And rule number 3, don't stress. Everything will be fine if you follow the right consultant's advice. If you're unsure of which expenses can be written off and be used to reduce your tax burden and your tax liability, don't guess, you'll get it wrong and you'll get yourself in trouble. We have a video for that, so watch the video where we explain exactly what can be done, because some things can be done, but you need to do it under the guidance of a professional.